All right, so in this lesson, for lesson number 3, we're going to talk about the life in the factory. You're going to look at a set of documents to develop a claim about how factory conditions affected people and support it with evidence. If you feel like you have a good understanding of documents, you can do this on your own. You're welcome to pause the video here, go to the next thing, work on these documents independently or with a partner. You do not need to go through this document with me. I'm going to go through document A and document B. You will need to do document C and document D on your own independently before getting to the final assignment, where you will have to respond to whether or not factory conditions were beneficial or not to people. But I'm going to go through these. You can pause here and move on, or you can go over them with me. So document A is from a man named Dr. Ward. We always want to read this section above the document before we start diving into the document itself, as well as look at the source of the document before we start diving into the document, because the section up here is going to give you usually background on the author, background on the person that is actually like speaking or giving the information, as well as typically this will tell you the purpose, why the document was created. And if you look at the first question, it says, why is he being interviewed? Well, that's the purpose. So Michael Ward was a doctor in Manchester for 30 years. His practice treated several children who worked in Manchester factories. He was interviewed about the health of textile factory workers on March 25, 1819 by the House of Lords Committee. The exchange below is an excerpt from the interview. And then if we look down at the source, we see it's the House of Lords Committee, and it was done in 1819. Question. So the question is from the House of Lords. The answer is what Michael Ward said. Give the committee information or knowledge of the health of workers in cotton factories. I have had frequent opportunities of seeing people coming out from the factories and occasionally attending as patients. Last summer, I visited 3 cotton factories with Dr. Clow of Preston and Mr. Barker of Manchester, and we could not remain 10 minutes in the factory without gasping for breath. These are grown men who couldn't get in the factory without being able to take a full lung of breath, and they're talking about specifically discussing children in here. Question. What was your opinion of the relative state of health between the cotton factory children and children in other employments? Answer. The state of the health of the cotton factory children is much worse than that of children employed in other manufactories. Question. Have you any further information to give the committee? Answer. Cotton factories are highly unfavorable, both to the health and morals of those employed in them. They are really nurseries of disease and vice. This statement that he's saying in here is that they're not just bad to the health, but to the morals. And when we look at that, that kind of references back to this, the idea of nurseries of disease and vice. A nursery is a place where you raise a child. And he's saying that in raising these children in these factories, there's these young children, they're being exposed to lots of diseases as well as lots of vices. And when we think about vices, we want to think about like drugs. They're being exposed to things that they shouldn't be at their age. Question. Have you observed that children in the factories have particular accidents? So now we're talking about what is happening to them beyond just the fact that as grown men, they can't breathe in this factory. Answer. When I was a surgeon in the infirmary, accidents were very often admitted to the infirmary. The infirmary is a hospital. Through the children's hands and arms having been caught in the machinery. So children's hands and arms being caught in the machinery. In many instances, the muscles and the skin is stripped down to the bone, and in some instances, a finger or two might be lost. Last summer, I visited Lever Street School. The number of children at that time in the school who were employed in factories was 106. Okay, so he went to the school, 106 of the kids in that school were employed in the factories. The number of children who had received injuries from the machinery amounted to nearly 1/2. There were 47 injured in this way. So 47 had injuries like the muscles and the skin being stripped from their bone, being caught and stuck in the machinery. Pause here, answer questions 1, 2, and 3 before moving on to document B. Document B is from a man named Dr. Holmes. Again, we're going to read this section up here as well as take a look at the source before we get into the document. Edward Home was a physician who lived in Manchester, England during the first half of the 19th century. He was an active member of various academic societies and associations and a well-regarded doctor. In 1918, he was interviewed by the House of Lords Committee about health conditions of factories. The exchange below is an excerpt from the interview. Question: how long have you practiced as a physician in Manchester? Answer: 24 years. Question: has that given you opportunities of being observing the state of the children who are ordinarily employed in cotton factories? Answer: it has. Question: in what state of health did you find the persons employed? Answer: they were in good health generally. I can give you particulars if desired of Mr. Pooley's factory. So we're specifically just looking at Mr. Pooley's factory. He employs 401 persons. And of the persons examined in 1796, now please remember in our source he is doing this in 1819. It has been like 20 years. 22 were found to be of delicate appearances. 2 were sickly. 3 in bad health. 1 had convulsions like seizures. And 8 cases of tuberculosis. In good health were 363. Am I to understand you from your investigations in 1796, you formed a rather favorable opinion of the health of persons employed in cotton factories? Answer: yes. Question: have you had any occasion to change that opinion since? Answer: none whatever. They are as healthy as any of the other part of the working class of the community. Question: who applied you to undertake the examining of these children in Mr. Pooley's factory? And the answer: Mr. Pooley. Mr. Pooley, who is the owner of the factory, told him to come in and examine this to get this information out there. So the questions ask you how the source of the information is similar to and different from document A. So what's similar, what's different? What evidence does Dr. Holmes use to back his claim about the health of children in the factories? Do you think this is convincing? And the last question is important. Why might it matter that Mr. Pooley asked Dr. Holmes to examine the children at his factory? Why is that important? You are expected to do document C and document D independently or in pairs. What that means is that you are working with these other students to figure out the documents to respond to the questions, but you are not working together on the assignments.